Hello and a very warm welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I want to talk about the real estate market in Manila, the capital of the Philippines, and give you 10 reasons why I think this might well be an amazing long-term investment. Now, let's get straight down to it. Number one is demographics, and I actually think this is the most important reason. So let me just give you some statistics. In the Philippines, the population is around 111 to 112 million as of 2021, but it is actually expected to grow to 125 million in 2030 and 150 million in 2060. And this ties in to the fact that the birth rate is still very, very high in the Philippines. We're talking at over 2.5 per couple. And what's also very interesting here is that the IMF predicts the Philippines will soon have Asia's youngest population. But I want to actually talk about the Manila metro area population, which is more relevant for this video. So in 2000, it was 10 million. By 2020, it had grown to 14 million. By 2050, it is actually expected to hit 24 million. 24 million. This is great news for the housing market future. And I think this will ensure prices in the future will skyrocket due to very high demand. Number two ties in a little bit to number one. So Manila actually already has the highest population density in the world of any city, and is actually twice that of Paris, which, as you well know, has an extremely high population density. And I think it is actually the highest for any European capital. Number three, I want to talk about prices that have fallen over the last year and a half. And this is entirely really due to the pandemic. So it could be a good time to buy. So if we take the most popular area of Manila, so Makati Center Business District, prices have fallen by as much as 20% to around now $4,000 per square meter. But actually, if you adjust this for inflation, the drop is nearer 23.5%. So quite a drop. So maybe if you get in now or the next year or so, you'll be getting in at a good time. Number four, I want to talk about the excellent yields. So the gross yields are around 7%. Now 7% is much higher than most European capitals. Number five, I want to talk about the spectacular growth in the Philippines. So if we take the years 2010 to 2019, other than 2011, whereby the economy grew by nearly 4%, in every other year in this period, GDP actually rose by 6%, by more than 6% every year. So I'll repeat that, every year by more than 6%, other than 2011, where it grew by nearly 4% anyway, which will be good, very good for most countries in the world. But I want to say in 2020, again, due to this damn pandemic, GDP fell by 9.5%. Number six, I want to talk about the low government debt to GDP. So in 2012, it was already quite low at 51.5%, but by 2019, it had actually dropped to 39.6%, very low by Western standards. Unfortunately, due again to the pandemic, in 2020, it rose to 53%, but it's still much, much lower. It's around half that of the UK, the US, and most European Union, Western European Union countries. And it's actually only a fifth of Japan. So not bad. Number seven, I want to talk about the Philippines being open to foreigners. Now, it does welcome foreign investment in general. So foreigners can generally own real estate, they can buy stocks and start companies relatively easily. Number eight, I want to talk about the fast development of the Philippines. Now, it really does have a growing middle class, fast urbanization. A lot of people now speak English in the Philippines, in particular the young. And so a lot of multinationals have now got offices in the country. Number nine, I want to talk about future investments. Now, we know there are a number of Chinese investors already in this market, but I think the market is likely to grow up even further, to go even further. And I think there's going to be more and more Chinese investors coming into this market. And let's take into consideration, a lot of money coming into this market is from people who are originally from the Philippines but live abroad, but they remit a lot of their money back into the country. And in fact, in 2019, it was around 10%. Now, I only expect this to grow because people will start to remit more money. They'll actually bring more money back and perhaps live in the Philippines and start a business in the Philippines as the country grows. So this, again, I think is going to have a good effect on the real estate market. And number 10, finally, I just want to point out the mortgage market in the Philippines is not great. It's very, very small mortgages. It's not like Western Europe, the US, where it's easy to get a mortgage on, let's say, 5, 10, 15% deposit. Well, actually, in a lot of countries in Western Europe, you need bigger deposits, but it's actually even worse here in the Philippines. However, in the future, if it becomes easier to get a mortgage as you get a growing middle class who demand to get on the property ladder, I think this could increase prices even further. So you've got a lot of points there, 10 fundamental points why I think the market could really explode in the next 20 to 30 years. However, there are some downsides. There are always downsides in any video I make. So let's go through them. Corruption. Now, we know there is corruption in the Philippines, so you've got to be careful when you do purchase a property or if you set up a business or do anything. I think as well, for a first-time buyer abroad, it may be a step too far. I think it'll be easier, let's say, if you purchase in a country like Bulgaria, perhaps Estonia, Poland. These are easier markets to navigate than the Philippines. Also, we have to talk, unfortunately, about the pandemic response. It's not been great. Bloomberg actually rated out of 52, I think it's 52 countries, sorry, 53 countries, it rated Philippines at number 52, very low on COVID resilience ranking. So 52 out of 53 worst countries is not great. And also, unfortunately, in the Philippines, foreigners cannot own land. And in a building which has condos, not more than 40% can be owned by foreigners. So please do look into this as well. And also the buy-sell costs are very high at around 15 to 20%. And this includes like capital gains tax, legal fees, realtor fees, registration fees, etc. And also if you're a non-resident and you rent out, let's say, your condo in Manila, you'll have to pay 25% rental income tax with no deductions. So again, there are a number of disadvantages as well. Now, I briefly want to talk about where you should invest in Manila. I'll just pick a couple of areas. On a higher budget, I would stick to Makati. It's an upscale area, as I've said. You'll pay around $4,000 per square meter. But many expats live here, many upper class people live here, upper class locals, I should say. It is the financial and business hub of the city. So if you have a good budget, I would actually go here. Let's say if you have a lower budget, I would actually go for Quezon City, which is a suburb in the north of Manila. But what I want to say here is that you can get an amazing 2-bedroom condo for less than $100,000. And it's actually well known for having good schools. The rental yields are very good here at around 8%. It's known for art, fashion, technology. It is actually the old capital of the Philippines. There's a lot of government buildings here and a lot of commerce. So on a lower budget, that's where I'd put my money. Anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts. What do you think of the Philippines? Is it a good place in the future to put your money in the real estate market? I certainly think so, mainly because of the demographics, I have to say. But I'd love to know your thoughts. Anyway, that's it for today. If you like this video, please do click the like button. It does help get this video out to more people. Please do subscribe if you like my channel, and I'll see you very soon on the next video. Thank you and bye for today.